Some exciting new lore came out this week. While it may not seem like much at first glance, it has potential to tell us a lot about future stories in Destiny. Mystery is something myself and others have been missing in Destiny for a very long time now. This is the nature of stories though. As you get towards the conclusion, there is less and less mystery as plot threads become resolved. The world that once felt so big and mysterious becomes smaller and smaller as more new information is put into game and written lore. But a simple Vex cave and a symbol has brought back mystery and intrigue to the Destiny story. If you've been doing Legendary Starcrossed each week, you'll have noticed platforms forming behind the bones of Tyrannus. As of this week, week 4, an awoken portal above the waterfall opened up. Before I tell you what is inside the portal, I want to give 2 pieces of advice. 1, do not open the chest before going into the portal. Upon opening the chest, you have a total of 5 minutes before getting kicked to orbit. If you leave the chest alone, you can stay in the mission indefinitely. And 2, do not double jump inside the portal. I have no idea why, but if you double jump, you die. Single jumps are fine though. You are allowed to jump. I know some of you will test this out, so make sure you have your friends with you to teabag your ghost. When you enter the portal, you are greeted with what looks to be a section of Vault of Glass, a symbol, and a star cat. Grabbing the star cat will get you an emblem called Well Tended Garden. That is cool, but the reason for this video is the symbol. You may have seen it around. It's the Ishtar Collective logo. There are no voice lines, no major lore dump, just a floating symbol behind an awoken portal overlooking a dead wish dragon. It may not seem like much, but I think we can make some proper theories. Before I get into my theories, I want to backtrack and go over the history of the Ishtar Collective and Maya Sundaresh. Now, this has nothing to do with my video, but one of the Cades, Cade 1 through 5, was in love with Maya Sundaresh. In fact, there's a high possibility he named his ghost Sundance after her. He was a bodyguard for her, and she didn't even know he existed. We do not know who started the Ishtar Collective, but the 2 most famous scientists that led a lot of important Vex research are Maya Sundaresh and her wife, Chaomi Essie. In Destiny 1, we spent a lot of time on Venus in the Ishtar Academy. This is where we first met the Exo Stranger. Outside of an amazingly beautiful university, we were never really informed what Ishtar really is. We just know that they studied the Vex. Most of the information about Ishtar can be found in lore books, and well, it is very interesting. Between creating the future war cult, to founding the Neomunans, to experimenting with prediction engines that caused one scientist to believe he was dead. They have been involved in a lot, but I only want to talk about one of their experiments that leads us to a lost guardian. Subject 12, a living Vex they experimented on. Subject 12 may be the most important and pivotal moment in Maya Sundaresh's life. While studying the Vex, they learned that it was creating thousands of simulated versions of the Ishtar scientists. Its calculations were so precise, so perfect, that it simulated them having a meeting at the exact moment they were having a real-life meeting. Maya and Chaomi were no longer sure if they were the real versions of themselves or a simulated one. They did know that a Vex could not simulate a Warmind, so they brought one in to help them out. The Warmind was able to rescue 227 simulated versions of themselves. The 227 simulated Ishtar scientists voted and agreed to stay in the Vex network and explore. They felt that this was the best way to really learn about the Vex and the inner workings of their network. I'll talk more about what happened with the majority of the Ishtar explorers in a bit, but I want to focus on just one of the Mayas that fell for a Vex trap and was kidnapped. The Vex experimented on this simulated Maya, dissected her, pulled out her organs, and simulated her billions of times. They let all the Mayas scream at each other, begging for their wife, except for one. One didn't scream. One wanted to be alone. The Vex ended up killing every single simulated Maya except for this Maya, M-Sun 12. They wanted a Maya who didn't care about anyone else, had no one to love, and didn't want to be loved. Whether out of loyalty or Stockholm Syndrome, M-Sun 12 worked with the Vex, even going as far as attacking Clovis Bray the First. Clovis was on an operating table ready for his mind to be placed in an exo when he was knocked out. Upon awakening, he found himself in pieces. One pile was his organs, another neat pile was his blood vessels, another pile laid his nervous system, and so on. Due to the delicate nature of his vivisection, he was still alive, aware, and watching his innards move. Clovis saw one red eye staring at him and cursed the Vex. The voice laughed at him and said that they were not a Vex. It was Maya Sundaresh, M-Sun 12. She wanted to teach the Vex the secrets of clarity control, bring the living statue back to them. Clovis was ultimately put back together and rescued by his granddaughter, Elsie Bray. I wanted to talk about M-Sun 12 a little, even though she doesn't have a lot to do with the main point of this video. And that's because she's still out there. We do not know where she is, but she has been brought up a few times, leaving behind her Vex signature in files. We may see more of her in a later storyline. She was recently mentioned again this year in week 13 of the Veil Containments. It seems M-Sun 12 is using the Vex network to gather information for reasons we do not know yet. But let us get back to the 227 Ishtar Explorers, or the ones who are left. 221 are left by the time they meet with a lone guardian stuck in a Vex time prison, Praedyth. Praedyth was one of the original Guardians that explored the Vault of Glass, where he was erased from time itself. While we did end up finding his body, somehow he was transported into the Vault of Glass network itself, where he was captured and placed in time jail. He kept a radio near him where he spent eons in his cell. While most of the voices he heard on the radio were his old fire team, he started thinking himself mad when the voices he didn't recognize were started coming over the radio. The voices ended up being the simulated Ishtar scientists, and they wanted to help him. By the end of their experiments and exploring, the Ishtar scientists were down to around 183. They had lost many versions of themselves, and it never got any easier. But they were able to build a device to leave the Vault of Glass. While we do not know what the device looks like, I believe this device is what we saw above the waterfall. The Ishtar symbol we find is obviously made out of Vex parts. And I don't mean Vex body parts, but Vex building parts. It also looks like they added an antenna of sorts to the bottom of the symbol, as the middle spike is not present on the normal Ishtar symbol. I believe when we go through the portal, we are inside a room in the Vault of Glass itself. It would make sense that the device they use would still remain in a closed off section in the vault. And when the scientists and Praedyth used the device, they found themselves in the Black Garden. We are never told what section of the Black Garden they arrived in. I'm not even sure they know themselves. While simple and unassuming, I believe this is Bungie hinting at the Ishtar Explorers and Praedyth being involved in future stories post Final Shape. It could very well be the first episode, Echoes, that's coming out after Final Shape. My two main theories when they announced these episodes was that one, this kind of looks like a Scion in the picture because it doesn't look like a Vex unit, and the other one was that this looks like a Warlock, and it could very well be Praedyth. And with the revelation of the Ishtar symbol, I think this is Praedyth himself in this picture. He was a Warlock. This looks like a Warlock. And it would make sense that he would have to make new armor out of Vex body parts after he took apart his old armor to make the very radio that helped him get it rescued. The last we heard about Praedyth and the remaining 181 Ishtar Explorers was back in Shadowkeep when they stepped out of the Vex network into the Black Garden. What have they been doing these last 4 years? Are they still inside the Black Garden searching for a way out? Did Praedyth ever make it back to Venus? And I think some removed data mined information may also hold credence to this theory. For those of you who do not know, before Lightfall, Bungie put out an interactive trailer where you could click on things and it would tell you more information about it. Someone data mined a trailer and they found that certain things had been taken out. And one of those things that were taken out were screenshots and information about Ishtar Academy. We haven't received any information about Ishtar Academy or Ishtar Collective outside of some Veil Containment stuff involving mostly directly Maya Sundaresh. So where was this footage? Where was the Ishtar Academy and Ishtar Collective going to come into play? I believe this may have been pushed back information that will be used later on after Final Shape. Whether my theory and ideas come to fruition, I am very excited that the mystery has returned to Destiny in some form. Making theories and ideas about the world we find ourselves in is part of the fun. I hope we see more of this in the future. Simple things that we can try and shape ideas around ourselves. And if you like this video, please subscribe, like, comment, and remember, hunters never die.